skills and simulation-based teaching and learning. So I'm going to tell you briefly about the concepts and components of simulation-based teaching. In this talk, I'm going to cover what is simulation, what are the types of simulators available, what are the potential uses of simulators, and what are their advantages and disadvantages. So simulation is the imitation of the operation of a real-world process or a system. So either the process can be a small process or it can be the whole system which is being imitated. And it was essentially introduced in the 1960s. The first implication, the first use of simulation came in the form of aviation industry. Later on, a lot of manufacturing industries, space travel, and even underwater expeditions started using simulation for practice sessions so that the actual process itself becomes safer. And of course, we all know that military trainings cannot be done without simulation. In fact, military trainings were using simulators long before we even actually thought simulation as a separate entity. And this is the picture of a British wooden mechanical horse where the newly inducted soldiers are being taught how to mount a horse. So it can be a simple orange. When we talk about medical teaching or healthcare learning, it can be a simple orange which can be used to simulate a lump, and this orange can be used by the teachers to teach students how to palpate a lump, or it can be a whole system comprising of a complex software and hardware gadgetry. As you can see in this next picture, this is a simulated operation theater where the students can undergo the whole concept of working or managing a situation in the operation theater. So when we move on to the types of simulators can be classified according to their fidelity. So low fidelity are usually screen-based simulators. Then there are intermediate fidelity simulators, which can be part task trainers or may have screen-based interaction. The high fidelity simulators, on the other hand, are highly advanced mannequins, and they essentially have user interaction with the mannequins. The simulators can also be classified according to their actual functions. So they can be screen-based text simulators or they can be screen-based graphical simulators. Then they can be mannequin-based simulators, and the latest to enter the market nowadays are virtual reality-based simulators. So what are the uses of simulation? Simulation, of course, can be used to teach clinical skills, and they have been very successful in teaching clinical skills. So this can be simple skills like tracheostomy, performing a tracheostomy or performing an endotracheal intubation or doing an intravascular cannulation. These are all part task trainers and they are used for simple skills. Simulators can also be used for complex clinical skills, and they have also been very successful in teaching students and learners on complex clinical skills, because essentially the patient remains safe and these skills can be practiced again and again using these simulators. So here we see a TEE simulator being used, and this is a laparoscopy simulator. And this is a difficult airway management simulator. This is an endoscopy simulator. And here we can see a cardiac intervention being done on a simulator. And this is a birthing simulator where a cesarean is being performed using the simulator. So second essential use of simulation is in team training, especially when it comes to resource management training in the team. So here you can see a team performing a difficult intubation in the operation theater, and apart from the actual skill of endotracheal intubation, the team-based learning is also being done here. So what is teamwork? Teamwork training is basically a subset of skills training with an emphasis on non-technical skills. So the skills, these are done as although there are technical skills involved, but the non-technical skills would involve communication behaviors, leadership skills, and cross-monitoring, which are essential for a team to perform for any successful outcome. The next use of simulation is in assessing the safety of a work environment. So here you can see a CT scan suite where a mannequin is being inserted, and this was basically a new CT machine was installed, and they were trying to test the functioning of the stretcher which is going in and out using a simulator. And last but not the least, the simulators are used for evaluating the abilities of the clinical staff or students. So as we all know, we have been using OSCEs for a long time now for assessing the skills of students in our medical curriculum, and OSCEs are basically skill stations only. So another concept that is very important to understand here is the in-situ simulation. Simulation which is done within the clinical environment itself is known as the in-situ simulation. Here, a mannequin or an actor portrays the part of a patient inside the unit where the actual clinicians practice. So common drills that are done in in-situ simulation include maternal hemorrhage, eclampsia, failed intubation or cardiac arrest, and it has a very big role in potentially diagnosing system errors. There are certain disadvantages of simulation, that is, it can distract caregivers from their clinical responsibilities. There is need for significant organization while performing these simulation-based training activities. A significant cost, of course, is involved, and it is labor and resource intensive. The upkeep and maintenance of the equipment used for simulation and skill-based teaching is, of course, very important. So at the end, I would just like to conclude by saying that a properly constructed simulation exercise not only has a high resemblance to the clinical environment, but also improves trainee skill and teamwork. Thank you very much.